Thank you for joining Jennifer Schaus and Associates in our 2019 Webinar Wednesday series. We're coming to you live from downtown Washington, D.C. Our webinars are every Wednesday, and you can find the upcoming schedule on our website. Past webinars and our recordings are also on our website and on our YouTube channel, along with over 160 other recordings on federal contracting topics. All are complimentary. If you have questions for our speaker today, you can email him directly to the contact information you'll see on the last slide. Right, this is just a little bit about us. We are a Washington, D.C. based firm and provide services for federal contractors. This ranges from market analysis reports to proposal writing and also post-award compliance. More information is on our website, so please visit us there. These are a couple upcoming events that you can find more information here, also on our website. And we do offer advertising in our newsletter, so you can send us an email if you would like more information on that. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Our speaker today is Alan Shipes from BidSpeed, and he's going to be covering marketing to government agencies, how and why. Thank you for joining us today, Alan. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you.
Hey, thank you very much, Mallory, and thanks everyone for coming out this afternoon here. So I'm Alan Shipes, Managing Director of BidSpeed, and one of the most frequent questions that we get is how do I market to government agencies? And in that conversation, it turns into why should they do that, right? As you all know, or you may or may not know, my apologies said there. So, you know, FBO.gov is kind of where everybody goes, right? The government is going to try and herd all of the cats, herd all the contractors into that platform. Well, what is FBO, right? Now, GSA is making some changes to FedBizOps where they advertise all the opportunities. I've had the opportunity to see some of the draft screens and beta screens on the new system there. So it is more powerful, but it's the same information, just packaged a different way. And when I say that, I kind of identify it as it's a billboard. It's really no different than driving down the side of the road and seeing a billboard for, you know, the gas stations at the next 5 exits, right? They're telling you, you know, where you can go to provide your goods and services. That's what FedBizOps is. So how do you market? How do you get beyond that billboard or advertisement there that the federal government is doing? Well, one is defining your strategy, and then in that strategy deploying that plan. Now that strategy may be to market directly to government buyers, which is a good one. It may be to hire consultants at what I like to tease with some of the guys on our staff, hire a retired admiral there. So it seems like everywhere you go, there's a retired admiral, right? So the Navy puts retired admirals out all the time. So I'm being a little facetious there this morning, and a poke to my good Navy friends there. I'm Air Force, I can do that. So you want to define that strategy, whether it's you know, hiring a consultant direct or bringing somebody, a business development person onto your staff there and marketing to the government the way that they've done it there in the past. It's worked for them. So, and implement that plan. A lot of times, and this was a big failure of some of the large companies in industry that, I'm sorry, I'm just making sure. Molly, you can hear me okay, correct?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, great. Just making sure there. Some of the shortcomings of after I left the Air Force a long time ago, worked in industry for some of the very large multi-billion-dollar contractors, is they would have their strategy planning sessions. Everybody would go to the conference room because free lunch was included and sit in there for a couple of hours, strategize, and a lot of stuff would go up on the board, and then you would never see anything the rest of the year. Big mistake, right? So if part of your strategy is to grow, obviously I would encourage you to quantify it, but if your strategy is to grow by $500,000 in revenue, I think you should set some specific goals of how to get there. And those goals should be to If you want to do $500,000 in revenue, you better have at least 5 million in proposals that you submit. So how are you going to do that? Well, you're going to submit at least $5 million in proposals. Now, is that 10 proposals, 20 proposals? I don't know. Depends on your product or your service that you're buying there. And with that product and service is why you would want to understand your target market there and choose the right delivery method there. So the one thing that you're going to want to do if you are in the services industry is the type of services you're selling, whether it's janitorial services or IT support services or networking services. You want to get in and take a look at the agencies that are buying that service and product and see how they're buying it. Through what vehicles, meaning contract vehicles, are they buying it to? And then through that, the derivatives are going to become a natural path for you to market to those agencies. And that natural path will be in the form of contracting officers assigned to or that had the charter for buying those requirements to begin with, or those offices. And again, those are out there. They're open through a number of different sources there to pull that information and data as far as contracting officers and buyers that have worked on certain projects, whether it be at the NAICS level, at the classification code level, or through a GSA schedule. So a lot of that information is there available through GSA as well. And then execute that plan, whether it's marketing emails directly to those buyers, marketing to the OSDBU offices. One of the favorite paths of mine is to identify your capability, identify the agency buying that capability or product, and schedule a meeting and go and meet with the OSDBU offices, right? And let the government and essentially offices that have been set up to help contractors like yourself bring in new solutions, new ideas to agencies centered around certain requirements. And of course, they've got acquisition forecasts that you can work in there as well. The reason I say go meet with them, go meet with the OSDBU offices, that's a natural entry point. A lot of agencies, now I'm not saying expend all your resources and time on American Airlines or Delta, traveling all over the U.S., trying to knock at the door of buildings there and stuff, right, and agencies, right? There's a lot you can do in the virtual world we live in, so email them, have telephone conferences, but the government does have OSDBU offices, a lot of them in the Washington, D.C. area, that you can go and they will happily meet with you there and entertain the ideas that you're wanting to expand and sell into agencies on, and provide good assistance to you in doing that. So I've been in those meetings. Those meetings have resulted in additional meetings that have eventually resulted in both competition. They've resulted in set-asides and responding to source assaults there. So these are people working in the government. A lot of times the government name by itself gets construed with this large, massive thing that is just too hard to overcome. Not true, right? Well, is it large and massive? Yeah, absolutely. That's a true statement. But these are people trying to accomplish a goal in a career that they've decided to go down, right? So they're looking for help. They want you to provide solutions and services and ideas to them as bad as you want to do it, right? So one of my mentors always told me that you got to have the want tos. If you've got the want tos, then they will listen there. So their biggest, I don't think biggest, larger, their most common, I guess, way of seeking seeking contractors to do specific requirements is through the sources sought and RFI program. And I know Jennifer would say that our firm, Bidspeed, we jump up and down on the soapbox here because this is the government basically pleading with industry to provide information. So imagine Google reaching out to you, asking you what you do, right, versus you inputting your information into Google, right? So that's what a source of sought RFI is. It's the government identifying that they're looking for companies to do a certain capability or provide a certain service there. And these are quick, easy responses that you can turn around, and these are open door opportunities for you to help shape the acquisition strategy. Next slide, please. These organizations, again, they're people trying to do their job, and they will certainly work with companies that are answering the requirements through source assaults, RFIs there. And again, it's an opportunity for you to advertise your capability in buying to the buying organization. Now, I get asked the question all the time, well, why would I want to expend my time on that? Well, one, you've already got the attention of the contracting officer or the contracting specialist or the agency. You've got their attention by virtue of it's their requirement. They're the ones that are actually seeking you out in this case. So you've got the attention. Even if you just responded and raised your hand and say, yeah, I want to play, but you didn't answer any of their questions, they're probably going to answer you back right away and say, hey, great, you haven't answered anything there. So you've already got their attention inherently by them reaching out to you. And again, it's an opportunity for you to help shape the requirement. A lot of times the government does not know or understand exactly what they want to do with a requirement, and they're reaching out to industry to learn more and to educate themselves on it. So they know that companies are out there and doing this commercially or possibly for other agencies. So this is your opportunity to say, hey, you know, items A through B or A through D, I'm sorry, you've got right, but E and F, you're way off. It doesn't align. So they look for your input on statements of works. They look for your ideas on how to set up pricing structure there. But again, if you do not answer them, then they're never going to know who you are. So take the mystery out of you for them and participate in that particular arena. Again, why you're doing it is because they're looking for you, right? So they're proactively reaching out through that source assault RFI process for you. So, and again, it's an opportunity for you to start that relationship. A lot of times we will see it, and I'll define a lot as well over 100 times, if not well over 1,000 times, have we seen clients and customers participating in this process, and they are all of a sudden added to that particular contracting officer or specialist or program manager's mailing list. So not only are they getting opportunities sent to them prior to them hitting the FBO or the .gov advertisement sites, but they're getting them sent to them directly, and some of those opportunities don't even make it for some reason to FBO, depending on the nature of the acquisition and how it's set up. If it's a the term slipped me, SAP type of acquisition under $150,000, and they're able to go out through an RFQ process versus a full-on advertisement there. So increasing your situational awareness of upcoming RFPs is always great to do. And while define upcoming RFPs is synonymous with forecasts, so getting out, learning what those forecasts are, learning what some of those expiring contracts are, and utilizing that information. Again, the data that's there, there's a lot of data out there, but you have to do something with it. And you don't have to use all the codes and all that. There's tons and mountains of data that the government uses internally, right? What you need to know is who's the agency, what are they buying, how are they buying it, how often have they bought it, in some case if you're looking for some recurring. And then in those agencies, drill down and see, okay, using items such as the first 6 characters of a contract number will tell you the exact office. And then all of a sudden now you will know the 6 contracting officers' contact information that are in there, and you can market to them directly. So there are a number of doors and paths to marketing to the government, and taking the mystery out of you for them is why you want to do it, and ultimately increasing your revenue as well. Number of cases we've seen in responding to source assaults, RFIs, or marketing directly to buyers that have bought your products and services in the past, they'll advertise or potentially turn you on to prime contractors that may already be managing that particular capability for them. And in those cases, those prime contractors become potential team members there. So you can generate revenue as a subcontractor there. So again, adding the validity to your business for that contracting officer is what you would want to do, and as well as it increases the activity in your pipeline. A lot of this activity I'm talking about here, how long does it take to go get the data? If you're pointed in there, if you just type in doing business with the government in Google, you're gonna get a whole bunch of stuff, right? So be very pointed. If you are selling to agents or selling commercially data information or some type of IT product there, then, right off the top, that, well, most every government agency is dealing with data. So maybe you start with Department of Homeland Security, right? So go out, Google Department of Homeland Security acquisition forecast there. If you're pointed with your search, you will get great results back. And then from that information, I think you'll find very quickly that the agencies identify by subject, by contract, by potential set-aside they're looking for, if you're a socioeconomic class there, whether you're in the SBA 8A program, you're service disabled veteran-owned or woman-owned business, then you can begin to use some of those socioeconomic statuses to help influence the acquisition strategy to be set aside for you on some of those particular requirements there. And then, of course, one of the things you're going to see 99.9% of the time is you have to be registered in SAM. So go to sam.gov, make sure your registrations are up to date there, and it can be a little bit of an arduous task to go through to do that, but it's not going to take more than the time it would take you to drink a cup of coffee to update your SAM. So once you do that, then you're really golden to begin bidding on everything. So marketing government agencies, is it essential? Yes, it absolutely is. And why would you want to go do it there? Because it gives you the opportunity to introduce your capabilities and services to the federal government. Now, I know we've talked about a very high-level umbrella type of capturing a lot of information when it comes to marketing, but if you wanted to drill down in summary, there's direct email, there's follow-up calls. A lot of that information, the data is already there on those acquisition forecasts. So pulling those forecasts, emailing those contracting officers on the ones of interest, calling on those contractors and doing follow-up. One of the biggest failures we see in a lot of our clients is that they feel good when they do that initial push of marketing, but then they don't continue to market throughout the year. It's a continuous cycle. One of my mentors in summary and final always said that once you win the contract, the first day of execution, you're already establishing your marketing right away just through your actions of executing a contract for the recompete that may be 2-3 years down the line. So you always keep that marketing and business development thought process in your head there, and continuously seek out the information through forecast or through other data systems that are there to have continuous dialogue with those contracting officer specialists, meet with those OSDBU officers there in OSDBU. If you're going to spend $20,000 to develop a proposal, spend $2,000 on a trip to DC and schedule up some meetings with different agency OSDBUs. I think you'll find great return out of that, those expenditures there. So Jennifer and Mallory, that's all I have today. I'm happy to take questions online or offline, but I thank everybody for coming out today, and good luck.
Thank you, Alan, for joining us today and sharing your knowledge and insights. If you have questions for Alan, you can contact him directly with the phone number or email shown on your screen. And this concludes the webinar. Thank you, everybody.